to do so in the chat. And to make sure we stay on time, and as folks come in, usually we always get a few stragglers, I wanted to get started right away. So are we all set on the recording?
We are.
Always good to check. Goodness gracious. So today, I am so excited. If we have not met, I'm Anna Maria from Hasmark. And with me from Hasmark as well, if you have any questions on that front, is also Jen. But we are joined today by Steve and Jane, who are going to walk us through something they created called Brehnz AI. And I have a feeling in the publishing industry, we're a little bit all over the place with how we're going to use AI to make the most of it. And we had a chance to give it a try, and we think you would really like it. From purely, as if many of you know, I work on the marketing side with many of our authors at Hasmark. And just from that perspective alone, it blew my mind. So I really am excited for you guys to see what Steve and Jane have in store for us. I do want to mention a couple of things. Steve is also a Hasmark author, so you are in good company. He's also the recipient of the Hasmark Award of Excellence. So I just want to mention you're in extra good company. And in addition, his background is just chef's kiss for author marketing. He is a speaker. He is completely, you'll see, he completely knows how to make sure from the perspective of talking about your book and getting people to buy it, you got to talk a little bit differently than how you did when you wrote the book. And that's what I'm really excited for you guys to experience today. So without further ado, hi, Steve.
Hello there. Hi, everybody. So great to be here. We're excited to present for Hasmark. I'd like you to meet my wife, Jane, without whom none of what you're about to see exists. So say hello, babe.
Hi, everybody.
All right, I'm going to place you two ladies back into the gallery and we'll get underway. Babe, is that okay? You have something else you'd like to add? Oh, she took care of it herself. Okay, so she's there we go. Excellent. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Steve Lowell, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time going on about my background or anything like that. As we go through this, you'll be able to judge for yourself if I'm qualified to deliver all of these things. So I'd like to get focused. I want to respect your time, and I want to get underway. So to get us started, I have a question for you. I'm going to ask you to go to the chat window, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no knowledge at all, 10 being you are the master of the universe, how well do you know AI? Now, I'm not talking about from a creating apps, but just a basic everyday user level. So 1 is you have no idea how to even start. 10 is, yeah, you use it pretty well and you can use it every day and you're good with your eyes closed. So just give me a number in the chat window. Make sure your chat is set to everyone so we can all see it, okay? Michon, I hope I'm saying that properly, is a 7. Paul is a 7. Kathleen is an 8. This is very, very good. Let's just give a couple others a chance. Anne-Marie is an 8. Very good. Okay, 3 out of 10. Okay, Catherine, that's great. Janet is an 8. Good. Okay, this actually helps me because that means that we can go a little bit faster. We may not have to do as much elementary stuff as I anticipated. So that's very good. Now, to get us started, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. You're all on your computers, I assume. I'm going to ask you to open 2 windows. So I'm going to ask you to open up your favorite browser, whatever it is, whether it's Explorer or it's Google Chrome or whatever it is. And I'm going to ask you to open up 2 windows. And this is the first one. I'm going to ask you to go to Brehnz.ai. I'm going to put that in the chat window. And I'm going to ask you to create a free account. It does not ask for your credit card. There are no implications to this beyond being able to use it for the next 5 days if you choose. But we're going to be using it today. And so when you log in there, it's going to look something like this. I'll show you. Give me 1 second. Once you log in, of course, I tested all this minutes before, and now so it's going to look something like this. It'll look like that once you log in. So take a second and do that. It's going to send you an email to finish the login procedures. So you click on the link that's in the email and get logged into Brehnz.ai. Again, it's not going to ask you for a credit card. It's not going to. There are no implications. It's going to give you 5 days access, and at the end of 5 days, it's just going to stop, and then that's it, unless you choose to go forward. Now, there's another window I'm going to ask you to open, and that is to click on the plus sign that you see up here somewhere in the top of your browser, and it'll open up a new window, and go to your favorite AI. And I don't care which one it is. Maybe it's ChatGPT, maybe it's Claude, maybe it's whatever. Just go to your favorite AI, whatever that is. And so what I'll ask you to do is go to the chat window and just type the words "I'm in" when you have both the Brehnz window open and your favorite AI window open. So when you get to that point where you have them both, just type the words "I'm in" so that I can make sure that we're not moving ahead too fast. If you're struggling with these activities, that's okay. You'll be able to watch what I'm doing as well, but you'll get a whole lot more out of our time together if you're logged into both of these things. So log into Brehnz.ai and into your favorite AI, whichever it is. Okay, terrific. So Catherine is in, Anna Maria is in, Michon is in, very good. Joe is in, thank you. Jay, that's Jay, thank you, Jay. Anna Maria is, today is meant to be experiential. It is going to be very experiential for sure. And Kathleen is in. Okay, terrific. Now, I'm going to put 2 prompts in the chat window, one at a time. And I'm going to ask you to go to your favorite AI, whichever it is, and I want you to put in these prompts. We'll do them one at a time. I'll give you the first one, and it's going to require a little bit of creativity. Now, you should be able to copy and paste right out of this chat. So you should be able to do that. So I'm going to read this prompt for you, okay? So it says, write a social media post about 100 words promoting my book called, and you put your book title in there, okay, which is about, and then put in 1 or 2 sentences max about what the book is. Don't give me a whole description because this is just a demonstration. Okay. And then it says close with a simple call to action and a single link to buy. So I'm going to ask you to do that. Some people like to open up a word processor. Maybe it's Microsoft Word or maybe it's Google Docs and craft their prompts in there before they paste it into the AI. Because sometimes when you're typing, I don't know if this happens to you, but you're typing a prompt and you hit enter to go to a new line and the thing fires off, right? So however you do it is fine. And so I'm going to ask you to put the prompt into your favorite AI and then hit enter, run the prompt, and then we're just going to leave it. We're going to leave that there for now. So just in the chat window, type done. Once you've pasted the prompt in, you've added the parts to it, you've fired it off, and it has returned something. And just type the word done when you're there. And then we'll move on from there, and I'll stay quiet while you do that. This is just Coca-Cola, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. It's not a big glass of rum. That happens after the webinar. And just type the word done when you've got it. Now, I did one as well. I did this a while ago, and mine looks like this. I used ChatGPT. So I did the same prompt as you did, and so I'll show you the results when we're done. Okay, Kathleen is done. Thank you, Kathleen. So Kathleen, while we're waiting, you can read your prompt, not out loud, read the response, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about it as we go. So go ahead and read it and just get a feel for, how does it feel? Like, is it good? Is it not good? And just sort of sit with that, okay? And Michon is as well, and I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, if Michon or Michon. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unmute Michon, and I'm going to ask you to say your name. I guess I ask you to unmute. Michon, say your name.
That'd be correct. It's Michon or
Michon. Okay, got it. Thank you. Very good. Thanks, Michon. Okay, now let's keep going and type in the word done when you've run that first prompt. And I'm going to be giving you a second prompt, which is almost identical. And so here's what I'll do. I will put the second one in because it's almost identical. It's just a little bit different. So I'll put that in now as well. Didn't get my confirmation email, but keep going. Okay. Yeah, I can't really serve that at the moment, but check your spam. Janet, check your spam. And if that doesn't work, Janet, try a second email address if you have one. So here's the second prompt. You'll see it's almost the same. The first prompt was for you to create a social media post. The second prompt is to create an email. So it's pretty easy to copy and paste, and you can put this in the same conversation, right? So you've got, and I'll just switch to mine. So, I did the first prompt here in ChatGPT, got the response, and I did the second prompt right underneath it in the same conversation. So you've got both responses in the same conversation, and that will work just fine. And then what I'll ask you to do, also just did writing in my Word so far. You are not too far behind. Okay, got it. And then when you've got them both, just type, done to. And I'm not going to rush you through this. I'll give you time to do this. And then we're going to park these, and we're going to come back to them in a short time. So let me know when you've done both of them. Okay, thank you, Michonne. Janet, were you ever able to try a second email address? Okay, Jay is done. Thank you, Jay. Okay. Give the others a few minutes. I'm just going to check in. Paul, just give me a thumbs up if everything is good. Paul and Catherine and Kathleen, just a thumbs up if things are okay. Okay, still typing. Michonne is good. Jen is there. Jay, am I saying your name properly as well? Good, thank you. And Sonia is here. Okay, so Paul, my free trial has already expired. Oh, you may have been in there earlier, Paul. So what I'm going to ask you to do, Paul, is to log in with a different email. That's interesting that that's happened. Go in with a different email and try that. And if not, that's okay. I don't have time to obviously to rescue you today, but you can watch what we're doing. But if you have another email to get in there with, that would be valuable. All right, and this is actually using your book as an example, Paul. Okay, so Paul, you don't have to do any of the work. Okay, Jay says, so if I keep changing emails, I can keep operating for free. Yeah, but I'm pretty smart. I'll catch on eventually, but if you get a new email every 5 days, I guess the answer is yes, you could you could do that, Jay. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on. I just want to check in and see, because I don't want to leave folks behind here. So I'll do a going once, going twice, and then we'll move on. So I'm watching for dones. Catherine is done. That's good. Okay, so we'll do going, and you can keep working right while I'm doing the next part. So going once, going twice. Okay, so in the interest of time, we're going to move ahead. You can keep working, or you can watch what I'm doing, whatever, but I want to make sure we get everything in. So here's the next thing I want to ask you, okay? Finish this sentence for me, and I can see some of you, so just look at your camera and finish this phrase for me, okay? Heart and soul, right? Did you catch that? Heart and soul. I want to show you how books are written, and then how that translates to book marketing, okay? So consider this. If we take a look at your book, if we look at it from this perspective, we break it into two major categories. This category out here is what I call the craft. The craft is the heart of your book. The heart of your book is the feeling that you have for your content. So when you write your book, I don't know about you, but when I wrote my books, I put my heart and soul into these books, and I'm sure you did too. You know, every book I've written has my heart and soul into it. So when I open these books up, I see more than just words, right? I see what I felt about those words. The words in these books, the design, the function, the strategy in these books are all about a reflection of how I feel about my content. Right, so chances are excellent when you wrote your book, you did it from the heart. You did it because it's important to you, because you love the content, because you placed value in it, made you feel good, and you wanted the audience reading your books to feel the way you feel about it. So this craft is the craft of writing from the heart. Now, the other thing that happens in your book is I'm pretty sure that I speak for everybody here that when I look at this, I just don't see a page, a book of words. I see more than that. I see more than craft. I see more than nice words. I see more than a nice structure. I see more than chapters. I see me in this book. I see me in this book. And when these books were written, the instructions that I gave myself were, I want people to read this book and feel like, I'd like to go and have a beer with Steve because I wanted my soul in this book. And so we put our heart and soul in the book. So this center part is what I call the core of the book, and that is the soul. So when we write these books, we've got these great strategies, we've got these great designs, and around those designs, we've got great words, but there's something in the book that makes this mine. There's something in your book that makes it yours, and it's not the words. You've had this experience, right, where you hear a speaker or you read somebody's book or their social media post, and their words are very nice. But the reality is they could have been written by anybody. But your book couldn't have been written by anybody. When we're authors, we try and write our book so that it's ours. Like you can read this and say, oh, Steve Lowell wrote that. And that's what we want. That's this part here. So the question is, why do we allow our marketing to be so void of soul? So I want to show you what I'm talking about. If you take those posts that you just created, I'm going to switch to mine here. And I asked it the same question you did. I asked it to write a post, and I used the same prompt. And this is what came back. I'll read mine, okay? And it says, a business owner I met had a better product, more experience and lower prices than the competition. Yet prospects kept choosing someone else. The problem wasn't quality. It was positioning. If people compare you to everyone else in your field, you're forced to compete on price, features, or popularity. But when you position yourself, now I could finish reading this, but the thing is, other than this, where it says the name of my book, this post could have been written by anybody. This post is very nicely written. It's very nice words. Sometimes we create a social media post or we have AI write an email and the words are fantastic and they drip off the page, like honey off a hot toast, right? And we think it's so beautifully worded. But the reality is you could take this post, you could take deep thought strategy out and you could put almost anybody else's book in and it wouldn't change a thing. Because this post has a very good core or a very good craft. It's very well written and it's got some heart in it, but it's not me. It doesn't sound like me. And there's something about these posts that's missing that just doesn't sound like me. And if you're reading the post that your favorite AI created for you, you might be experiencing the same thing. And so what are we going to do about that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how does AI actually work so that you can get the core, so that you can get the heart into it. Then we're going to come back to these posts. So here's how AI generally works. Now, I know that there are some people in this room who probably know a lot more about AI than I do. So this is not really an AI course. What this is something to show you how you can get better results out of AI. Okay, you wanted to follow along with me. This is what ChatGPT wrote. Okay, I won't read the whole thing, but think about it, Paul. Does it reflect you, right? And if you're like most people, it's like, it kind of sounds like me, maybe. But if you could take your name out and put somebody else in and have it not change anything, then it doesn't really reflect you. Because here's how how AI works. Okay, this is you right here. You got a big smile. This is your favorite AI. ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is. I'm going to use Claude because I like to use Claude. I use them all, but Claude's one of my favorite. So here's what happens when we use AI. We send AI an instruction. Write me a post. Write me an email. Write me some marketing copy. Write me something about my book. And what will happen is your AI is going to first look at its training. And it's going to say, what do I know about this? Now, maybe what you've done is you've uploaded your book and you've sent your book along the way, and that's a good thing to do. So what your AI is going to do is look at your book and say, okay, what can I do with this to create a nice social media post? What can I do with this to create a nice marketing email? How have I been trained to make that happen? So your AI is then going to use its training that it has received from people, all the people using it over the years, and it's going to take what it knows and it's going to send you back some very beautiful words. And you are going to love those words. And you're going to say, this is really great. You might even say, wow, that actually sounds like me. And it might sound like you. But the thing is about your soul and your content is your book might sound like you, but if you take those words and put somebody else's name on it, it's not going to feel right because there's more in this book than the words. There's more in this book than what it sounds like. And there should be more in your marketing than what it sounds like. So that's how AI works. Now, the question then that I get a lot is, what happens if I put my book in there and it goes over here? What happens to my intellectual property? What happens to my ideas? Well, that's a huge question, and I don't know all the answers, but here's what I do know. I do know that this AI gets its training from somewhere, and usually if you're, oh, that's no good, that's me. If you're using a free version of an AI, a free version of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, it is definitely ingesting your content as part of its training. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that somebody can search for your name, and say, give me Jay's book, and they'll receive it. It's not that. But what will happen is the AI is going to inform itself on your principles, on your ideas, and on your philosophies, and it becomes part of its master training. Now, some people say that if you pay for this, if you have a paid version, it doesn't ingest. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to assume it is because that's what they say. But what happens now is you have, this little thing in the back of your mind says, I don't know if I want to put my book up there. And even if you do, what comes back is going to be of a quality that's going to surprise you. So here's what we did. This bothered me for a long time when I was starting to work with AI. So here's what we did to solve this problem. Two major problems we wanted to solve. Number one is we wanted to find a way to improve the craft, to make sure that what was coming back was not just generic information from the AI's training. What I wanted to do is make sure that the craft is sound, because I've been in the communications business for 40 years. For 40 years, I've been training professional speakers all over the world. And to me, the craft of communications is paramount. And what I was getting back from ChatGPT and from Claude and from all the others sounded beautiful when I read it, but it was crap. And I'm going to show you why. So that was number one. I wanted to get rid of the crap. We call it AI slop. And I wanted to have quality content. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted it to do more than just sound like me. I wanted it to represent me. I wanted it to have my heart, and I wanted it to have my soul. And so to learn, because I wanted people to read the posts and read the content and say, that really sounds like Steve. I wanted that. So here's what I did for that. There's a longer story here. I won't give you the whole story, but what I did was over the winter, while I was off work for three months, I guess, for some surgery, I had a lot of time on my hands. And so I created an app for me that I wanted to use because my clients were asking me to write their talks for them, and I had to do that. And it took me, usually that's a $35,000, 3 or 4 month project. I wanted to trim that down so that I could charge less. So I created this app right here, and it's called Brehnz.ai. That's what you're in right now. Now, the reason it's spelt EH, I don't know if you'll get this. If you're Canadian, you'll get this. If you're American, you might not, but whoops, it is EH because we're Canadian, eh? So we're from Canada. So that's why that's the way that is. So here's what we did. I created Brehnz, and I called it Brehnz because it has 5 brains in it, 5 separate brains designed specifically to remove AI slop and tighten up the craft of the writing. So here are the brains. The first brain is what I call the pro speaker brain. The pro speaker brain says, what's the structure going to be of this post, of this email, of this talk, of this book, whatever it is you're writing? What is the appropriate structure to help this user get to the end goal, to get to the end result? So it looks for opening structure, it looks for transition structure, it looks for story placement, it looks for length, it looks for flow, it looks for connectivity, it looks for closing, it looks for powerful structures. And so there's a whole brain designed specifically for message structure. That's the pro speaker brain. Then there's something called the story brain. And the story brain is the master of story. So what it looks for is there a story here? Should there be a story here? If there should be a story, what story should be here? Should the story have a specific emotional arc? When should the story enter? What part of the story should we start with? How should the story be written? So the whole purpose of this second brain is to fit story into the structure. And then there's something called the persuasion brain. If it's meant to get to yes, if it's a social media post where you're trying to encourage people to sign up to something, or if it's an email where you're trying to encourage people to click on a link, then that's a persuasion post. And we use this for writing talks, for writing webinars, for writing social media posts, for writing books, for writing emails, for writing blog posts, for writing anything that needs to get to yes. There's a persuasion brain. So the persuasion brain looks at everything that's in there and it says, does it have all the appropriate persuasion elements? Does it challenge a belief? Does it change a paradigm? Does it reset an expectation? Does it do something for the reader to change the way they think about something? Does it persuade them? And does it have all the right technical techniques in there for persuasion? Then it has what I call a conversion brain. If there's an offer in place, if there's a buy now, or if there's a sign up for this, then there's a sales process that needs to be built in there. And so does this piece of work, whether it's a book or whether it's an email or a social media post or a talk or a webinar, whatever it is, does it have the conversion elements in there that bring the audience to a yes decision? And then the fifth brain is a com styles brain. What that means is, based on who the audience is, are the appropriate communication styles addressed in there? You know, if it's meant for a group of accountants, they have typically communication styles that are a little bit more along the lines of numbers and facts and figures. If it's for entrepreneurs, maybe the communication style needs to be a little more heartfelt. And so what it'll do is, based on the content, based on everything else that's in here, it will say, here are the most appropriate communication styles that need to be in this piece of work. So now what happens is, your message doesn't go to the AI right now. Your message comes up here, and it goes through all of these brains before it even makes it to the AI. Then, before it gets there, it goes a second time around, because if you add something here that changes something here, it wants to know about that. So it goes around a second time, and then it sends it to the AI. And now it says, okay, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever it is. In this case, for Brehnz, it's Claude for writing the content. So Claude takes all of this and sends you this. So now I want to show you how that works in real time. So I'm just going to move this. Now I'm going to ask you to do this. Okay? Take the first response that you got from your AI. So if I click to my page here, the first response that I got was here, right? This is it. This is what it sent me. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take that and paste it into Brehnz. So you're going to go to Brehnz.ai. You're going to create a new conversation, and then you're going to do this. I'm going to put a post in here for you. I'm going to ask you to do this. Put this here in your Brehnz, and it says, here's a piece of my book marketing. That's the post that your AI gave you. And then it says, audit it and tell me what to fix. Now, what you're going to find when you put that into Brehnz.ai is it's going to think for a minute. It's going to be a little bit slow. It's going to be slow because it has 5 brains to address. Now we're working on speeding that up, but you'll find it might take a minute and a half, maybe up to 2 minutes. And so I'm going to do that along with you. Okay, so if you watch my page, I'm going to take what it wrote me. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come over to Brehnz.ai. I've got a new conversation here. I'm going to put that post in, and then I'm going to take the prompt. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it inside this post. Oh, come on. Let me just copy it. I'll put it in the post. And so now it says, here's a piece of my book marketing, audit it and tell me what to fix. This is the prompt that ChatGPT gave to me. I'm going to press go, and it's going to think for a minute. And then you're going to come back and you're going to have something that it's going to look something like this, right? I'll show you. Oh, hold it. You're going to get an audit. And it's going to look something like this right here. You should see something that it might say mini audit, it might say audit, but you're going to have something that looks like this. Okay, I'll bring this up close. Okay, and when you get this far, okay, Jay, I don't really know why that is. I'll try and fix that later. Might have to check your spam in that case. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just type the word me if you see something like this in Brehnz after the post, okay? Type the word me, and I just want to make sure that you're all with me on this, okay? So you should see, after you type it in Brehnz and you fire it away, you should see something like this. And it should have view audit, and it'll look something like this. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to catch up. Okay, I'm watching people work. Okay, I'm watching the chat to see anybody's getting this. Okay, thank you, Anna Marie. And if I'm going too fast, then what we'll do is, because I want to make sure we get through everything, you've got Brehnz here for the next 5 days. You can play with this. I'll move ahead and you can watch what I'm doing, and because all of this you'll be able to do. Okay, have a lot of red and yellow. Okay, yes, that's interesting, isn't it? So I'm going to show you what that means. So if you look on my page right here, I've got 1 green and a lot of yellow. Audit complete, same on red and yellow. Okay, got it. Let me tell you what that means. These are audits. What happens is Brehnz is going through all the 5 brains as it looks at whatever ChatGPT or whatever gave you, and it's running an audit on critical elements for persuasion, for story, for conversion, for communication styles, for story element, for all of those things. And what you're likely going to see is this. Now, what this means, we won't go read the whole thing. You're free to do that. What this basically means is green is really good, yellow is not good, and red is the worst. So all you have to do is pop your eyes at this and look, whatever they sent me, whatever ChatGPT sent me was beautiful, but it wasn't good because it's crap. It doesn't follow any known structures for anything around structure, around persuasion, around communication styles, around story, around conversion. It just doesn't. So now, rather than dwell on this, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Just scroll down. What you could do right after that is just type the word rewrite the post and see what happens. And it will take a second to do that. But if you type the word rewrite the post, It'll do that. Or here's what I did, and you can do either one. I put the exact same prompt right in directly into Brehnz as opposed to ChatGPT or whatever. So you could have it either rewrite the prompt or you could put the prompt right into Brehnz. And here's what happens. Okay. And as you see the result, watch the audit. What you should see is all or almost all greens, because Brehnz is going to audit whatever you ask it to audit against the 5 brains that are in it. So what this means, folks, is that when you write something in Brehnz or when you improve something in Brehnz, the comfort that you have is that it has been vigorously audited against 5 master communication brains, and it is designed to get to yes, or it is designed to tell a good story, or it is designed to get attention, whatever the purpose of your post was. And you can audit anything. Okay. Now you have 2 posts there now from today that you can play with and that you can audit if you want to. So all of that to say this. One of the advantages of Brehnz, and so far we're only talking about this part. We're not talking about the soul. We're not talking about having it sound like you yet. We're just talking about the craft, the heart. So that not only is it going to sound good, but it's actually going to be tactically correct. Okay, so that's what we're working on right now. So when you send your prompt, it goes through the 5 brains and then goes down to Claude and sends it back. Now, here's something else I want you to know. Because you're not using a public path, a public roadway to your AI, this is how AI trains itself. You're using a private road. This is a road that I pay for Brehnz, and there is a contract right here. There's a contract between me and Anthropic that says thou shalt not train on this content. So it's a written contract that they have, that I have with them. So when I created Brehnz and I used Anthropic, part of what I pay for is that security. So this is as secure as your bank. So I'm not going to encourage you to put your banking information in there or your passwords or anything, but it has the same technical level of security as banking. So your content does not train the AI at all. It's not even held in memory at all. So that's a security thing. So now, when you go back to Brehnz, and if you start playing, you can start doing these audits. So that first one was to do an audit for the prompt. Now, I want to show you something else, and I want you to go and play with this. You got some time. I want you to play with this. So I want to show you something else. Let me just go back to my Brehnz here. So sometimes when we create things, when we write things with AI, we write it based on a source. And maybe you've done this. Maybe you have uploaded your book or uploaded some research, you've uploaded a document or something, and you've written an email about it, or you've written a prompt about it, or you've written a talk about it. And then you find out that what you've written through AI doesn't match what you uploaded, because AI will lie to you. And I don't know if you've experienced this or not, but AI will, that's why it's artificial. It's artificial intelligence. It's machinery. So sometimes it gets things wrong. So I created something called a trust audit. And I want to show you what that is, because this becomes important for the next part of our discussion. Okay, so if I go back to my document here, here's what I did. I'm going to scroll up here so you can see. So I wrote this post, this prompt, okay, and I'll read it to you. Okay, here's a testimonial from a reader and a post I wrote based on it. Do a trust audit. So what this is going to do is validate that what I've written through Brehnz is actually true to the source. So I made this so that my audit did not have red, yellow, green, probably me trying to listen, maybe. Okay, so here's what I did. Here's the testimonial. Yeah, and I'll read this. Here's a testimonial from Phil. Phil Holland says, Steve helped me to develop my keynote, but also my business model. Then the absolutely brilliant way the models came together, the simplicity of it, and the ability to explain it to clients. So far, it's resulted in around $40,000 of revenue. So that's an older testimonial. So I put that there. Then I created a post about it. And I did this deliberately so you can see something. Here's the post I wrote, okay? Can Can one simple change in how you speak make you $40,000 in just a few meetings? Sure, it can. Just ask Phil Holland. So what that means is I wrote this post based on this testimonial. Then I asked Brehnz to say, do a trust audit to make sure that my post is accurate based on the source. So here's what the trust audit came back as. Okay, the trust audit compares my post to the testimonial. It compares my content that I had Brehnz write to the source. And there were 3 claims in there. Only one of them is green. So if I expand all this, you'll see here that the 40K in revenue is verified because Phil said that. Okay, one simple change in how you speak contradicted the post. That wasn't in the testimonial. And in just a few meetings, that contradicted. That wasn't in the testimonial. So this failed the trust audit. And I did this deliberately because I wanted you to see that when you write something against a source, you have a way to very easily validate that what you've written is actually based on the source, so that AI isn't going to lie to you and you don't get any AI slop here. Okay? So then what I did is I had it rewrite the testimonial. Okay? And we don't need to rewrite the whole testimony or reread it. But if I go down, I said, do a trust on it again on the new one. And now the trust audit, if I look, it's all green. So it writes with one yellow that was adapted. So it will, if it has to adapt something, it'll tell you. If it takes artistic design on something, it will tell you. But if you're not going to get any reds in here. And if you do get any reds in here, then you just keep writing it until you don't. So now I can be comfortable with this post because I know that it is almost 100% verified, and what's not verified has been adapted to an acceptable degree. And you get to choose that. So that's called a trust audit. So the value that you're seeing here is this. To market your book, what you don't want is to take something you've put your heart and soul into and just send out all the marketing based on AI slop. Your marketing needs to reflect what's in the content, what's in your book, but it also needs to be strategic. It needs to have the right structure. It needs to have the right philosophies and persuasion in it. It may need to have conversion elements in it. It needs to have story in it. It needs to have proper communications in it. And AI doesn't do that by itself. It doesn't do that by itself because it relies on whatever training it has derived from all the users. That's what Brehnz does. So that covers the craft part of your writing in Brehnz. The next piece, though, is this. What do we do about this part here? How do we make it sound like us? Well, you may have had training on this, or you may have heard about this, where you create personalization. You upload some documents, you upload your book, you upload maybe a style guide, and it'll talk to you. It'll speak like you, it'll sound like you. But I want to go through some PowerPoint slides here because this is too important to glance over. I want you to get this because your style guide, speaking style, say it this way and use this kind of tone, that will make it sound a little bit like you, but it's not going to bring out the soul in your book. Okay? There are other people who write like you, but when they read your book, it's yours. And that's the piece that AI cannot duplicate. So let's take a look at what all of that means. So I want to talk to you about a couple of people here, and I'm going to explain to you why this is so critically important here for us. Okay, so this guy is Dr. Orman, and this is what he said when he started using Brehnz. He said, the best feedback I've received from any tool, it turned my talk into a fantastic talk. That was from 2 things. One is from those audits. That feedback was from the audits, but the other is from what I'm going to share with you in just a few minutes. Then today I was speaking to this lady. Her name is Amanda Koch, and she's a user of Brehnz. And here's why she used it. She was looking for an AI that did more than just sound like her, because that wasn't difficult. And you know this, when you do this kind of work, you can feel like it kind of sounds like me, but it's not really me. And that's what AI can do. That's as far as it can go. So she started using Brehnz, and she says it blew her away. And nothing comes close to this. So I want to show you why and what this is all about. You see, if I come back to this piece, the secret here is this. Right here, before your message even makes it to the 5 brains, what Brehnz does is it puts in you. It puts in your brain, but not from a speaking or writing style guide perspective, from an identity perspective. This is you. This is the golden key right here. Anybody can use Brehnz. You can use Brehnz after your 5 days is done. If you choose, you can sign up for $67 a month and you can use it, and you can have all of these 5 brains. This is different. I'm going to talk to you about this in a bit, but this is a different thing. So I want to show you what this is. We call it your identity blueprint, but I want to explain why this is so important and why most AI personalization doesn't actually do what you think it does. I'm curious, just go to the chat window and type yes or no. Are you familiar with AI personalization? Have you done anything about this? Have you put up your own style guide, put up your own content to try and make it sound like you? Has anybody here done that? Okay, Jay says no. Okay, Catherine says no. Okay. Okay, for speech writing, yes. Okay, Paul, that's good. Okay, good. So I want to show you what's different here and why it's so important. Okay, so personalization, your general personalization will improve familiarity. What that means is it might sound like some of the right words, right? There'll be basic personalization on a very surface level. It may copy vocabulary and tone, but what it can't do is it can't give reflective, lived perspective. It can't duplicate your personality. The bigger opportunity is to build what we call a structured identity blueprint, and I'll give you some ideas of what that's about. So this gives Brehnz a clearer model of who you are and how you think about the world. And so typical personalization is very fast to set up, and it's easy to outgrow. It means, you put up a personal bio and you put up tone preferences, speak warm and polished and casual or professional, upload some content like maybe in manuscripts or notes or post, and that gives it some information, or maybe some simple audience instructions and goals, and simple prompts like write like me or make it sound like my brand. And none of these things are bad things to do, but all they are is surface level casual content. It doesn't reflect the inner you. There's that piece that you can't always put a name on, that piece of you that is missing in the words, right? And so you've got all of these instincts that you've carried for decades. You know what to say, and you know what to cut, and you know when to tell a story, and you know when to teach. Like, how to do those things, but AI can't make that up. So if you want to be distinctive in your writing, it comes from your worldview, it comes from your perspective, it comes from your values, not just the wording. So style documents alone don't allow you to do that. So this is why many outputs, it kind of feels like me, it kind of sounds like me, but it's not quite right. It's not quite me. And the missing layer is the interpretation of your identity. We have to go much, much, much deeper than just your words, okay? And so that's what an identity blueprint does. It shows Brehnz how you think. So I want to skip ahead a little bit here, and I want to take you to what exactly is in an identity blueprint. So give me 1 second. I just want to find my little cursor. You ever use this when you have multiple screens, your cursor gets stuck on one and then you can't find it on the other? That's where I'm at now. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I'm just going to flick through some slides real fast here, okay?
We could see it moving around.
Yeah, I know, but I can't get it on my other computer where PowerPoint is. So I'm just going to go real quick here because I want to show you what's in here, okay? Okay. I want to go to right here. Okay, so here's the difference between typical AI customization and having your actual blueprint. So typical uploaded style guides, they tell how the AI to sound like this. But an identity blueprint tells Brehnz not only how to sound, but how to emphasize, how to add structure to meaning, and what parts of you should show up in that post. Should your personality show up? Should your sense of humor show up? Should your worldview show up? What parts of you need to show up? And it gives Brehnz a clear internal model of who you actually are. I'm going to show you an example of the difference between customized output and the identity blueprint. I'll show you in a moment. So this covers your tones and patterns like everything else, but it also dips into your core beliefs, into your values, into your communication goals, into your structures, your stories, your signature stories, your example, your reoccurring themes, your preferred ways of opening or structuring or closing, boundaries around what you would never do, boundaries around humor, boundaries around formalities and vulnerability. Like these are all parts of your personality that the AI cannot duplicate. So the goal is not just polished writing. The goal is recognizable authorship, which means, a lot of us as authors, we feel like we're thought leaders. We identify as thought leaders. So thought leadership needs to be, it's a consistent perspective. It's not a generic polish. It's not just making it sound good. Listen, any AI can make you sound good. And the problem is everybody sounds good now, which means none of us stand out. So the deeper thing is that core. It's that soul piece that has to be added in there. So, it wants to apply your client communications, and client communications work better when the tone and the message and the logic feel authentic and identifiable to you. So I'm just going to go through a few things here. I want to talk to you about this lady. I'm going to get through this quickly. There, this is a good friend of ours, and I want to show you something that she's working on. She's using Brehnz to write a book right now. She's using it to write her book. So she was visiting us over the past few days, and she just left this morning. And while we were working together, I asked her to do an experiment with me. Okay, so we used a version of her AI that is customized for her. And what I asked her to do is to write a post. So I gave her this prompt that you can see right here. Okay, and I'll expand it so you can see it. Okay, so I said, go to your AI, and her AI was customized, had her style guide and that kind of thing in it. So it says, write a social media post positioning me as a book writing coach. Now, I'm going to read this because I want you to see the before and after. And when I'm reading this, you might say, this is quite good. So let me read it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here's the results. You don't need more ideas. You need the book finished. Most people don't struggle with having something to say. They struggle with getting it out of their head, onto the page, and into the hands of people who need it. That's where I come in. I'm a book writing coach. I help leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs go from I've been meaning to write this to published, with a book that sounds like them, not like a template. Here's what I've noticed after working with writers at every stage. The thing that stops most books isn't talent. It's not time. It's not even knowing what to say. It's not having someone in your corner who can see the book you're trying to build and help you build it. Now I'll stop there. Now, when we're reading this, you might be thinking, that sounds pretty good. And when she was reading this, she would say, that sounds pretty good. But here's the problem. Anybody can say this. This doesn't identify her at all. Even though it uses some of her words, it's written in her tone. It's written exactly as her uploaded style guide said to write it. But there's nothing in here that makes it hers. So then we put it into Brehnz and we put in her identity blueprint. So let's take a look at that one and we'll see what that one looks like. This is the same prompt. But now it's not using her normal customization. It's using her identity blueprint. Okay. Here, the same prompt, write a social media post positioning me as a book writing coach. She sat across from me at a small table in Honolulu, coffee going cold. And she said something I've heard 100 times. I've had this book in me for 10 years. She wasn't short on ideas. She had notebooks full of them. What she didn't have was someone who could see the thread running through all those scattered pages, the story underneath the stories, the one that would make a room full of leaders lean forward and think, that's exactly what I need to hear. 3 months later, she had a finished manuscript. Not because I taught her to write. She already knew how to write. I helped her find the book that was actually hers, the one built from her own experiences, her own hard-won wisdom, the moments she'd been afraid, too personal to share. These moments were the whole book. Here's what I've learned after decades of helping leaders communicate. The thing that makes your message unforgettable is never the data, never the framework, never the polished talking points. It's the part of yourself you almost left out, the story you weren't sure belonged. That's where influence lives, not in what you know, but in who you are and what you've lived through. And a book that carries that, it doesn't just sit on a shelf. It creates a buzz in rooms you'll never walk into. So what story have you been carrying that deserves more than a conversation over dinner? If you've been meaning to write that book, I'd love to hear what's stopping you. Send me a message. No agenda, just a conversation about where you are and where the book wants to take you. Now that was written according, yeah, I know, what a difference, right, Anna Maria? That was written with the same prompt, the exact same prompt, word for word, in Brehnz using her identity blueprint. And all of this comes from her. I haven't done a trust audit on this, but I know her very well. This comes from an actual story sitting in Honolulu, from an actual person, which happened years ago. It's in her identity. It chose this story for this purpose. And it uses her words and her emotions. And so this has her soul. So that's the difference between having customization and a trust audit or an identity blueprint. So I want to share with you exactly what we have in store for you. But I want to take a second to show you what's in the trust audit. So here's what happens. This is a service that we provide, is we build your trust audit for you, or your identity blueprint for you. And we do it through a series of steps. So the first thing we do is we have a discovery call. We grab source material from you. I know what material to get. If you don't have it, I know how to interview you. So we get everything we need. Then from the sources, I have a system that I created that extracts the voice patterns, the beliefs, the stories, the communication habits, the values, the do's, the don'ts, and then we create the blueprint, and then we install it for you inside Brehnz. So we set it up into the platform environment, and then we take the next 30 days or so and calibrate it for you, so that at the end of 30 days, Brehnz doesn't just sound like you, it represents you. And that's the goal. So now what you end up with is this whole package where all of your marketing writing is as deep as your book. All of your marketing materials comes from not just the words that are in here, but the soul that is in there. So you take your message, you run it through your own identity blueprint. It grabs all the gold that is of you that's required, puts it through the 5 brains, writes it, puts it through the 5 brains again, then hands it to the AI, and this is what you get back. And it works for all of your content. So what we have in store for you today, I'm just going to go through this piece real quick. Give me a second here to get there. Here's our offer today. So we are offering to create this for you, and here's how it works. There's a personal build out, which means we create it for you. That we usually charge $1,000 for that to create the blueprint itself. 30-day calibration, so that's a $500 value over 30 days, and there's really no limit to how much work we do there. If it's not working, then we get together, we find out why, and we tighten it up and recalibrate it for you. And what we're doing is we are also going to be including 12 months of Brehnz access. Brehnz is $67 a month, so we'll give you a whole year of access to that, and email support. So if you need support on how to use Brehnz, you're stuck with something, then we're there for you for 3 months. So that's a total value of $26.40. So now you have 5 days to play with Brehnz. So you don't have to decide today if this is what you want to do. But if you decide within the next 5 days, rather than $26.40, it's going to be $19.97 USD. So you'll save $643. However, we always like to reward fast action. This is available to you for the next 5 days. But if you're already convinced that you need your AI to do more than you, then more for you, than sound nice and sound like you, then today only we're dropping it down to $14.97. So that is a $1,143 value. I'm going to be putting a link in the chat window. If it's something that you'd like to do, now would be the time. Oh, give me 1 second to do that for you. Oh, Jane already did. Oh, she's way ahead of me. Okay, so there's the link that'll take you to the $14.97 purchase. Just remember, again, you have 5 days, and you can do that at $19.97, or you can do it today at $14.97, and that link at $14.97 will be taken off, in the next 2 or 3 hours or something like that. So if it's something you want to do, you're going to want to get on it now. So we are right on time, but what I like to do is stick around a little longer to answer any questions that you might have. So if you've got questions, there's 2 ways you can do this. One is to type it in the chat window, or raise your electronic hand. And somewhere down on your screen, you'll see where you can raise your hand. And if you can't do that, if you can't find that, just go like this, or come off mute. And and I don't know if you can unmute yourself. I'm going to see if I can get you to unmute yourself. Hang on. Sure, I can do this. Do you know that Zoom keeps changing everything on their screen, and every time I use it, I can't find the things that I'm looking for? Okay, you can unmute yourself. So if you've got a question, just unmute and interrupt, or you can type it in the chat window, or you can just wave your hands and I'll find you. So, questions going once. Babe, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think you went through the system. Great.
Okay, cool.
Maybe
Thank you.
Anna Maria has something to add, because she's been using it for a couple of weeks now.
Yes, the 2 things in particular that I find very helpful, I wanted to mention before our time kind of comes to an end, is that from a marketing perspective, what I love from even the copywriting world, to learn copywriting, a lot of what you'll learn there is almost like theme plates, and making sure you have the structures, as Steve pointed out, a little bit right. There's certain ways to do certain emails and for different purposes and whatnot. And I love the fact that that is built in Brehnz. I don't have to think about it. Oddly enough, I spend a lot of time tinkering with a general AI, I'll call it that, adding those in, constantly like tweaking and constantly making sure it matches the right format that I want to add. Story is also a bit of a challenge. And the biggest one that you'll find now that you'll look for it, you'll see it everywhere, is your generic prompts that come back are always you-based. Buy my book. I'm so passionate about this topic. I. But through Brehnz, I found it'll naturally convert it to take your audience and where they are in perspective first. And that's not so easy to do. It's a trap that is so easy to fall into. So from even a workflow that you have for yourself perspective as an author who has to market their book, I found it so helpful just from alleviating those types of concerns. And I really hope that as you play around on your 5-day trial, you'll see some of that come through.
Yeah, that's a good observation, and that's what happens with those 5 brains, right? One of the most common mistakes in any kind of persuasive type communication is the me first thing. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you about my book that I wrote because I loved it, and it's really good content, and you should buy it. And you're right. One of the first principles of persuasion is that it's not about you, it's about the audience, it's about them. And Brehnz is really good at turning that around and making the audience the hero. Yeah, good observation. Thank you for that, Anna Marie. That's great. Any other questions before we go? I encourage you to take advantage of this, only because it's a really, 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 really good offer. And so you might be thinking, okay, Steve, what happens if I pay the 14.97 and we just can't get it to sound like me and it just doesn't work? We've never had that happen, but if it does happen, I'll just keep working at it until it's exactly where it needs to be. And I can virtually guarantee you that we're going to get there. Because I have the system now, I created the system to design those blueprints. Let me give you an example of what's in them. Okay, let me see if I can do that here right now. Stand by. If I can go to here. Okay, hold on. There, let me show you what's in the blueprint, okay? So it covers what I call your identity and role. So are you a coach? Are you a teacher? Are you, what is your role in your business? And you may have several of them, and it'll cover all of those. It covers your voice and tone, just like the general customization will, but it covers your worldview and beliefs, and this one is huge. And it knows how to say the right thing based on your worldview and beliefs without actually voicing your worldview and beliefs, right? So everything comes from, so for example, one of our clients, Amanda, she's a Christian. So the posts that she comes out with do not have any Christianese in them as far as I've seen, but they come from a Christian mentality, so, which means there's a lot more grace in them. There's a lot more love in them because of her beliefs and worldview. Any frameworks, models, or signature talks or stories you have come in there. So when it creates my posts, it always relates back to my Brian the Tennis instructor stories, or my high impact keynote template, or my 60-second miracle positioning script. Like all the things I've created, it refers to those and it leverages those and uses them. Audience and decision rules. So if you're trying to write something, it might say, well, normal convention says I should say it this way, but because of Jay's audience, I think we should say it this way because this is more alignment with her audience. This is more in line with her worldview and her beliefs. So it makes decisions that way. Okay. And then it has a never do list, a non-negotiable never do list. So for Amanda, for example, never use any foul language, never use anything suggestive, never use anything offensive. And it comes up with a whole list of things not to say. So whatever you don't want. So for mine, it'll say things, never use any false scarcity, never make anything up, don't lie, don't use any high pressure sales within the webinar. Like it will do that for me because it's designed for never do's. Content type templates, if you like things a certain way. So for example, I have a template that I've taught for many years called the high impact keynote template. When I have it create a talk for me, it uses that template because I've asked it to. And then a story bank. So there's a whole separate document we put in there that is filled with your stories, wherever they are. I have, 100 or something stories in there. So what'll happen is when it starts creating things, it'll pick the right story and it'll put it in. Stories I've totally forgotten about are coming up in some of my content. So this is what's inside the blueprint and a whole lot more. So I'll just get through this very quickly so we get that back up. And that's our offer for today. Can you keep adding your story bank? Yeah, you can, Anna Marie. You can. I will show you how to do that when we get you set up. So if a new story occurs or if you remember one, I'll show you how to add it because there's a way that you can go in there and edit what's in there. So yes, that can be done. Okay. So Jane asked that one question. Okay, are there any other questions before we go? I will just come back to here. And if you have any questions, now would be a good time. I'm going to take Spotlight off because there's only a few of us. I want to be able to see everybody. There we go. Hello, everybody. Okay. All right. Babe, do you have anything else before we close up?
Nope. I'm
Nope.
good. If you're having problems with PayPal, my phone number is there and you could text me or you can call me and I will put it through manually for you.
Good. Okay. Okay. Questions going once. Questions going twice. Hi, Jen. It's nice to see you. And and gone. That's a wrap, everybody. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you in Brehnz. We'll talk again.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Thanks.